And he was like thousands and thousands of other children who were infected with this disease. But at the time that he was infected with this disease, he went to enter the first grade, and they would not allow him into school. The very year that happened, his mother died of the very disease that he possessed. And his stepmother found this to be just heinous, and she decided that she was going to make a stink about it. She thought it was, even though he had AIDS, he had every right to be educated. He had every right other children had to express in this world. And she wasn't going to let him be denied that opportunity because of a disease that he contracted that was imposed on him. Nkosi was a brave little boy, and he became outspoken. He allowed himself to become the face of this disease in the face of the children. And by the time he was 12, he was speaking to President Clinton. Became an international spokesperson. He raised money to create an orphanage and a home for mothers and children who suffered from this very disease. And he died at the age of 13. We can say that this is good. These people loved. Right here in Ames, there's a number of charities. There's 153 churches here in Ames, all doing good work, doing their best. There are other charities here as well, and you may be more familiar with them. But why is this good? We can look and say it's not because of judgment. But there's another element here that I wanted to emphasize today. Why is it good? It's because it's our essence. And let me use this metaphor. We don't question the essence of fuel. If we put fuel in our car, or if we have fuel, and we put a match to it, the fuel ignites. It's the essence of the fuel. It's what it's made of. We don't question it. It just is. Whatever components or compounds that have come together to make this fuel, when met with a hot source, it ignites. That just is. We are divine goodness. We just are good. We are made of good. The word essence is defined by a basic and real and invariable nature of a thing, or its significant individual feature or features. It is my belief that the most hardened criminal has this divine essence. He may be far removed from it in his existence, but he too has this divine essence. If this were me, could you love me? How many times have we seen somebody on the street and we turn our eyes away? We don't want that person coming up to our car. Needs to get a job. Lazy. Boy, it's amazing how we can judge. And where some of that may really be true. Maybe some of those homeless people in Calcutta, India, were homeless because they had an addiction to alcohol or an addiction to drugs. And they found themselves in the situation too. Mother Teresa loved them. So I have a little technique that I do when I see somebody like this. I say a prayer that whatever money I might give that person, that I know that that is well intended, that that money will be used to make that person better, and whatever, and try not to judge it. I'm not asking anybody to embrace the same philosophy of me. This is just how I've come to terms with loving somebody and not judging somebody. I decided to ask the question to some minister friends, what good is? I got two really good responses I wanted to share. This is from Dr. Robert Lee Hill, who is the minister of the Community Christian Church in Kansas City. He says, Chris, there's a nice coincidence between the question you're asking and the current Imago Dei sermon series that we're doing here at our community. The basic assumption of the series is an understanding about God and humanity and their intrinsic connection that goes by the Latinate phrase Imago Dei, image of God. The Christian tradition, founded on the Hebrew Bible's understanding of God's creative power and the nature of human origins, makes the claim that humanity has been shaped, created, and otherwise made in God's image. Now, we don't always live out this fullness of the image, and over the course of human history we have expressed an unflagging capacity to forget the Imago Dei in which we were created, which is one of the ways to interpret and understand humanity's persistent proclivity for a host of grief-making tendencies and activities, including wars, rapacious violence, greed, deception, intolerance, and equally heinous indifference. The call then to be the right relation with God is to acknowledge the divine image in which we were made and live accordingly, and to exercise vigilance and discipline and remember the image of which we were made, and when we have forgotten, seek reconciliation with God and neighbor. And this from my dear Reverend Unity Minister friend, Myra McDaughton. As far as what makes human beings want to do good, I'd say it's fear of Satan and all those ravaging fires coupled with not getting into heaven's gates. Then she says, just kidding, Chris. If not that, then it's because it is indeed our inherent nature of divinity that reaches out in compassion and love, which is the power of oneness with all humanity and all living things. Even when we want to do good or to prove that we're good people versus selfish sinners, it's because of the heart of the compassion that calls us forth. We all are called to do good. So I wanted to close with this thought. And being a part of the physical world, we experience and feel things in the physical that are more susceptible to our fears and worries and our negative emotions. So we have this physical world around us that we react to, that we call good or bad. There's people out there that would call this church bad. Or we may ourselves call another denomination bad. We do it with Islam and how there's a large contingent of people in this country that want to destroy mosques because they're bad. But when we're tuned into our essence of God and good, that's when we truly are good. That's why you see this connection, the outpouring of love to Haiti, and I know what's going to happen in Chile when there's this outpouring of benevolence that goes, because we know intrinsically, deep inside, that it's going to come out of us. This divine good, that feeling that we get when we know that we're in connection with the Spirit. When we feel it, woo, right? When we feel it. Since the beginning of man, there have been religions. Man has always sought to understand his connection with the divine. So to conclude, do all you can with what you have, and the time you have, and the place you are. And may God bless you.